But there's also, you know, the legislature also sets fees for the community colleges. So, you know, there's a possibility of increasing fees to meet the fiscal demand. But this is not that conversation. This is a conversation about, well, the bill is about hiring full-time faculty. You know, from my point of view, in 1988, when Vasco passes AB 1725, I mean, that was a hard-fought goal set at that time for full-time faculty versus adjunct faculty in the community colleges. But over the last 27 years, the system has never come close to reaching that point. And because of the Student Success Task Force that was passed a couple of years ago, now you can see statistics as to how many people are full-time, how many people are adjunct faculty, et cetera. And you can see the growth or lack thereof of trying to get to, if that indeed is the goal. It's never been close. It's always been, there's been a high point of 60% in some in a school, or maybe 5 schools, and most of it, as they have prepared this little chart, is saying this has never been after 40%, et cetera. My problem with the bill is that by placing a hard cap on the number of part-time faculty, you really are going to limit student access. You're going to limit student access because schools cannot afford, or I don't think community colleges cannot afford full-time faculty at 75%. So if you're not going to offer the classes, who's going to teach? Now, and this goes back to this discussion. This AB 1725 was passed 27 years ago when the demographics of this state was very different. Today, we have much more demand and much more diversity among our college kids who need skill level building before they can do college work. And a lot of this basic skills work has been basically the responsibility of community colleges. And they have, I mean, I remember Senator Scott as a college president complaining about the change of mission, so to speak, for the community colleges, as instead of being a transfer institution or CTE or, you know, in the third leg, was that they become more basically involved with basic skills. And full-time professors really resist having that, you know, full-time job as teaching basic skills. And so adjunct professors have taken that place. So, you know, and then the bill also inserts an issue on overload assignments, which is heretofore been something that's been bargained in every campus does something different. And if the full-time professors are not going to do overload or take overload assignments, then who's going to teach basic skills? I don't know, you know? Senator Leyva?
I just wanted to make a comment about full-time jobs. I think that we have moved farther and farther away from full-time jobs over the last 2 decades, and I think we need to always endeavor to make sure there are full-time positions at every level of our workforce. And we talk about the students' need for professors that are full-time. You know, in talking to adjunct professors, it's very hard on their life too. They want to be full-time. They want to commit. They want to make their career at a particular college and just commit to the students. And in talking to adjunct professors who are running from campus to campus, not only is it hard on the students, it's hard on them. So I think we should always endeavor in every level of work up and down the state to make sure there are more and more full-time positions available.
Senator Block.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regard to basic skills, many classes are now taught by part-time faculty. My guess is at any campus, those part-timers would love to become full-timers.
Of course.
And some of them will under this bill, and they will be able to provide for their families in a better way. and they'll be able to teach their students in a better way because they'll be available. The students who are taking basic skills courses, as much or more than anyone, need to have a faculty member who's available in office hours. And right now they're not because they are relying so heavily on part-time faculty. So first of all, I think the basic skills argument is not one that would be against this bill. This does come down to quality versus access. I mean, you're right. The access will be reduced slightly by this bill because benefits will have to be paid to faculty who may not be getting them now. I think that's a good thing. But there will be a little more cost to full-time faculty than there are now to part-time faculty, which may reduce access some. But that's where the issue is not just access versus quality. Quality. Our community colleges, frankly, don't do a good job now of getting students out, of preparing students to transfer, of preparing students with their associate's degree. They try, but they can't do as good a job because they don't have full-time faculty who would be the heart of the institution. To me, as I said at the beginning of the day, a long time ago now with SB 15, the important issue is not how many students get in, it's how many students successfully complete. And while access may be cut a bit by this, I think successful completion will increase because you have full-time faculty who students can go to with their academic needs. So I'll be supporting this bill.
Of course. Senator Mendoza.
I appreciate the comments that have been said before. I don't want to repeat too much of that. I just want to say I do support the intent of the bill. I want to continue this discussion. I think it's very necessary that we continue talking about this. I do feel for those professors that have to bounce around from college to college. I want to create that stability. I want to create that buy-in from these professors, say this is my college, this is where I'm going to be, this is where I'm going to dedicate my extra time so I could help these students versus, I don't have time to meet with you guys, I got to go to another campus. We don't make sure these professors have buy-in and we create the stability that our community needs. And the community colleges are community colleges. They're in the community. We want to make sure most of them live there, they live around there. So I do support the bill. I want to make sure that we continue to have this discussion that's been going on here since I've been in the Assembly. I want to make sure that we continue to make a difference in our community college. So thank you, Mr. Pan, for this bill.
Okay, all right. Any other comments from members? All right, Senator Pan, would you,
yes.
I mean, I'm very torn about this because I believed so strongly for so long that we need more full-time faculty. So I am going to vote for the bill today, but I'm going to wait and see what happens in appropriations and on the floor, because I think if there's some real issues of significant access loss, because I would actually agree with Senator Block that if it means really adding quality to the system, maybe we do lose something in numbers, I don't know. And I'm really not familiar with what kinds of inflexibility there would be, because I do think full-time faculty teaching the basic skills would be more committed to the students and have more time to spend with the students. But I will be looking at this, and I don't know what I'll do if it comes to the floor. But I do think we have to do something to say, come on, take it seriously. We really do want full-time faculty in our community colleges.
and I have, before you close, I mean, I have some thoughts too. It's difficult to dispute the importance of full-time faculty, and I know that the sponsors have struggled with this for a very long time. However, I'm not sure this is the right approach. I'm really not sure that this is, for me, there's no magic number in the 75%, but you worked and you have struggled 25 years ago to get to an agreed upon number of 25%. And but I am concerned about what I think this bill focuses on is inputs rather than outcomes for students. And I think we've worked really hard with Student Success Task Force to develop recommendations aimed at improving the outcomes for students. Not so worried about faculty. But faculty are, the faculty and students are the most important element of getting kids through the system. And I know that we had an offline conversation about using that accountability report that we now ask that all of our community colleges to create as a base, finding more data and information about what's going on in our schools. And I also, after the pattern of the Student Success Task Force, I would, as an action plan, be willing to support that the Chancellor's Office convene another board like that of stakeholders interested in assessing that goal, the 75% goal, and really creating a timeline to achieve it. And, you know, but I understand you want the vote today, so I think that will happen, but I am concerned that I don't know whether or not how successful you'll be in the next committee, but that's not my problem. So the bill has been moved, I think, as...
Could I just ask a question? Sure. I'm sorry, but this is very important. It's one of our bedrock education systems in the state. So Senator Pam, what is the feeling of the sponsors, the opposition, and yourself of the idea of setting up a task force that will come up with timelines and methods? And I say that because there was huge opposition to Senator Liu's bill about focusing on outcomes for community college students. And it turned out in retrospect, I think, to be a good thing to have done. And I don't want to undermine that. And so how do you feel about that?
So I would say, first of all, I appreciate looking at outcomes. As someone who's been involved in quality improvement in my own field, I know how important outcomes are. But as we look at quality improvement, we recognize you have outcomes, and then you also need to look at inputs that go into outcomes. So it's not an either or. And in fact, one of the challenges we have in terms of looking at outcomes is that some outcomes are harder to measure than others. Doesn't mean they're not as important. But for example, I think it's very telling, and I really appreciate what Senator Block said about the quality of the experience students have when they get to interact with a full-time faculty member versus someone who's not able. They're dedicated, but they don't have the time, and you don't have the environment in the school to provide that ability for interaction. Because the education that happens in any college, any level of higher education, whether it's community college, CSU, or UC, isn't just what happens in the classroom. I think we all know that. All of us who've been to higher education. And it's not just what happens in the classroom. It's your also ability to interact with faculty outside the classroom when you have questions. You sometimes try to get your questions in during class, but sometimes like I don't really quite understand it, or I go home and I read it and I still don't get it, and I need to be able to, and when that isn't available, or the career counseling potentially a faculty member can give in terms of mentorship. We've all known people talk about how important mentorship is. Well, it's really hard to have mentorship from someone who, while they're dedicated, can only meet with you while they're in the class and then is away. And when we talk about the diversity and demand, how that's changed. Yes, we've gotten a more diverse student population who actually are coming from backgrounds where more mentorship would actually be probably beneficial and more guidance. And so I think that's what we're trying to push toward. I appreciate the idea of a task force, and certainly we're not opposed to that. But I think that only doing a task force is continuing to put off this issue that I said the AB 1725 of Vasconcelos was passed in 1988. It's now 2015. And this bill actually doesn't say we have to hit 75%. This bill says that we're going to at least not go backwards. We're putting a cap equivalent to the 2014-15 fiscal year. So the idea is to at least say, let's not move backwards. Let's try to push forward, because we want to create that environment. And there is flexibility in the sense that this is a cap for the whole, for the district. So there is, so there's flexibility within that. But we should, for the district overall, try to move forward and not backwards. And so I think that certainly there's going to need to be more. I appreciate having continuing conversations, but I think that it's important to keep this discussion moving forward and certainly appreciate your votes to help keep that moving forward from this committee. And certainly, yes, we'll have to deal with appropriations and the fiscal issues as well. And I think we're all in agreement that more full-time faculty would be better, and we need more money for our community college systems. And so hopefully we can, on those 2 points of agreement, we can agree to support this bill and move it forward and have that, continue that discussion going and try to see where we can make meaningful steps forward, at least not go backwards. I mean, that's really what this bill's about. It's not going backwards.
Okay, the bill has been moved.
Do pass to appropriations. Lou?
No.
Lou, no. Huff? Block? Aye. Block, aye. Hancock?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock. Leyva? Aye. Leyva. Mendoza? Aye. Mendoza. Pan?
Aye.
Aye. Pan. Vidak? No. Vidak, no. That's 5-2.
Okay, you have 5 votes. The bill is out.
Thank you.
Let's, members, for those of you who have, need to add on, let's
Okay.
move forward.
SB 334, do pass as amended to EQ. Chair voting aye. Pan? Aye. Pan, aye. Vidak? Aye. Aye. Vidak. That's 7-0.
7-0, that bill is out.
SB 618, do pass to appropriations. Chair voting aye, Vice Chair no. Pan? Aye. Pan, aye. That's 7-1.
7-1, that bill is out.
SB 645, do pass to appropriations. Chair voting aye, Vice Chair no. Pan? Aye. Pan, aye. Vidak? Aye. Vidak, aye. 7-1.
7-1, that bill is out.
SB 750, do pass as amended to appropriations. Chair voting aye. Vice Chair aye. Pan? Aye. Pan, aye. Vidak? Aye. Vidak, aye. 8-0.
8-0, that bill is out. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, members. We'll see you next week with a list of, how many bills next week? 18? 19? Not bad. Okay. Thank you. Good.